This is the Cuisinart Vacuum Sealer. It's very streamlined and compact. It's also made out of brushed stainless steel and black. It has three main features on the top: seal only, vacuum seal, which also is cancel, and canister only. And then on the other side, it has the accessory port. In the front here and on the side, you're going to press these two buttons, and that's going to disengage the locks. And then you also notice here in the front, it says sealing strip. This is your extra wide sealing strip, and that's going to enable you to seal bags, to prepare them before you put the food in them. This is also the channel, which is where you're going to put the open edge of the bag in there before you actually go and seal it. I'm going to show you how to do it in a few minutes. This is also your vacuum bag cutter. It's removed by just pulling it out. I'm going to show you how to use that. It's really simple and easy. And I mentioned this is your accessory port, so your buttons come through on the top, but you can still see them when the lid is opened. And this is also your hose that's mounted in the unit, and that's what's used for the accessory port. So let's go ahead and talk about the benefits of using a sealer, and then I'm going to show you how to use it. One of the things that's great about vacuum sealing is it enables you to preserve your food, whether it's going to be used in the refrigerator or the freezer. And we also give you 4 rolls of bags, which is very generous. So you have lots of starter bags that you can make when you first get going. But the benefit of using a sealer is, like I mentioned, to preserve foods. So that's especially important when you're talking about meats and herbs. Sometimes when you freeze meat, what happens is if it's not stored properly, you will end up with freezer burn. And that, when you go to cook it, it doesn't taste good at all, and you most likely have to throw away that meat. The other thing that's nice about vacuum sealing is if you happen to buy in bulk, you can break it down and you can seal it, put it in the freezer. So for instance, if you buy like a gigantic package of chicken breasts or sausage or pork chops, you can break it down into 2 or 4 or whatever your family uses at one time and preserve it so that you can get the benefit of buying at bulk pricing. The other thing that's great too is some items like parsley here is very delicate and it doesn't last a long time. So what happens is when you can seal it, you can extend the useful life of delicate items like herbs. The other thing that I like to do when it comes to preserving is I use my vacuum sealer for, believe it or not, fresh corn. I live in New York and the corn season is very short. So what I do is I use my vacuum sealer and I'll buy a lot of fresh corn and peel it and blanch it and then just toss in a little oil and then vacuum seal it. So when March comes along and I have a taste for some fresh summer corn, I have it right in my freezer. So let's get started using the sealer so you can see how easy it is to use. Like I mentioned, you press these 2 buttons on the side and that disengages the lock. And the lock is important because then you don't have to hold down on the sealer when it comes to sealing. So first, let's cut ourselves some bags. The nice thing about this is when you get a roll, they're not pre-cut, so you're going to have just a little piece of something that you're only using exactly what you need and you're not wasting any of the bagging material. You just basically, this cutter has a little curve here and you're going to get that curve under the plastic. And this is kind of like sometimes you see something like this for like wrapping paper and you just zip it along and you're going to cut your bag like that. You want to seal one end so that you can actually put the food in there. So what you're going to do is you're going to put the bag here. You're going to close this by pressing it down and make sure it locks, because if it doesn't lock, it won't seal. And then what you do is you hit seal only. And what's going to happen is that sealing mechanism will obviously heat up enough so that it makes the plastic stick together and you're going to end up with a bottom of a bag. So there it is, it's done. We're going to pop this open again. And you can see now that I have a completely sealed bottom. So you won't have any, and look how close I was able to get the bottom to the edge of the bag, which is really important because you won't waste that way. So now what we'll do is we're going to take some of our sausage, just so I can show you how this works. Put it in. And now what you're going to do is you're going to take this edge of the bag and you're going to tuck it into the vacuum channel, like so. Just like so. Then you're going to close it and press down again so you make sure that it's engaged. So this is where you don't have to like hold down while it's sealing. You just lock it and it does the rest for you. Now we're going to hit our vacuum seal button. And when I do this, what's going to happen is it's going to take the air out and it's also going to seal the top of the bag. The nice thing about, like I mentioned, vacuum sealing is that it removes the air, and the air is what makes the food go bad and mold, and you end up having to throw it away. Let's pop this open, and you can see how beautifully sealed, and it's really tight, very tight, and it has a beautiful, great seal on that. So that's really neat. So next I'm going to do is a little bit of, I think I'm going to do a piece of cheese, and I'm going to use the small bag this time. I'm just going to stick this in here, and you just push it to zip it across, seal the bottom. It's unlocked. So I'm just going to seal the bottom like I did before. And this is really great too because, like I said, these go from the refrigerator to the freezer, depending on what type of food item you're doing. And the other thing that's great too is that you can actually boil food in these bags if you prefer. Just slide the cheese in there because, as you know, cheese is very expensive. And if you buy, a beautiful piece of cheese and you're not going to eat it all at once, this is a great way to preserve what you have left and not waste it. Pop it open, and there you have it. Beautifully sealed cheese. It's really, really airtight. I actually love to use my vacuum sealer, and what I really like to use it for is preserving things that I've cooked, to keep them in the freezer so they don't go bad. It's great for leftovers and keeping summer ingredients fresh as if the day you picked them. Having a vacuum sealer at home is a great benefit to you. You save lots of money because you're enabled to buy in bulk. And the other thing that's great is it keeps you from throwing really expensive food away.